My name is Eric Medifius. I'm a 26-year-old single company worker. Right after graduating from high school, I started working at a medical equipment manufacturer where I'm still employed today. At my workplace, we mainly handle products like diapers, gauze, and toothbrushes, primarily for hospitalized patients. It's beneficial for both the patients and their families if there's minimal hassle in preparing these necessary supplies during their hospital stay. It'd be convenient if they could get a set of everything needed for their entire stay. The reason I started working at this company goes like this. During my middle school days, it was just my mom and me, and we faced financial hardships. I wanted to become independent and start working as soon as possible. Then my high school teacher made this proposal to me. Eric, your grades are top-notch. It's a waste if you don't go to college, but I know you want to work, so why don't you try for a recommendation to this company? I was attending one of the top public high schools in the state. Even among students aiming for prestigious universities, I was always among the top performers. Eric, only a few students from our school receive company recommendations each year. Given your outstanding performance, we, the school, want to fully support you. Why not attend their company briefing? Among the few recommended companies, my teacher specifically suggested the medical equipment manufacturer. I didn't know much about what they did initially, but after hearing their presentation, I knew right away I wanted to work there. Our mission is to help patients have as comfortable a stay as possible in the hospital. We constantly source various products to cater to patients of all age groups. Every day, we visit hospitals to promote our products. We're looking for team members to help us make the world a better place. Seeing the passionate CEO talking in front of the job-hunting students, I was deeply moved by the company's mission and aspired to be such a fantastic adult. I thought how rewarding it would be to support patients and their families, even indirectly, by working here. After the briefing, I immediately asked my teacher for a recommendation, took the company's test, and got an offer. Eric, we're so happy to have such a talented person like you join us. Let's work hard together. With those words, the CEO extended his hand with a smile. Yes, I'll do my best. Shaking his hand, I was determined to be a responsible adult. Now, I still work as a salesman, feeling fulfilled every day, and before I knew it, I've been with the company for 8 years. But there was someone who would become a significant concern in my otherwise smooth-sailing corporate life. Recently, after a department transfer, Mr. Brown, my new boss, seems to have taken a dislike to me. He always accompanies his subordinates to check on their work, but for some reason, he always chooses me. Eric, get the car ready now. But, aren't we scheduled to go on sales calls in an hour, sir? I changed my mind. Remember, you're my subordinate, and do as you are told. Without arguing, I quickly grabbed the company car keys. Mr. Brown regularly gave me such last-minute tasks. At first, I didn't understand why he was being so unreasonable, but I eventually learned the reason. He is a graduate from a top-tier university and apparently values educational background a lot. Because I joined the company right after high school, he doesn't seem to think highly of me. Before I was transferred, I heard from others that he would often complain, saying I hate working with high school graduates because they're useless. As for me, it felt incredibly unfair, but there's no way I could talk back to a superior. Even though I've been struggling in my current situation, I don't intend to quit my job, so I just have to endure it for now. Then, one day, just like usual, I went on an outside sales call with Mr. Brown. Our current branch is located in a rural area, similar to the Midwest, so it takes a significant amount of time to travel. Spending long hours in the car with him was a pain, but the beautiful countryside view from the window somewhat eases it. After we finished our scheduled sales visits, Mr. Brown said, I'd like to stop by a convenience store, so I parked the car in the store's lot. I bought a drink and was about to return to the car when I noticed a woman in the nearby aisle. She was holding a white cane, probably visually impaired. She seemed to be in some kind of trouble. I approached her and asked, "Are you okay? I got caught in a ditch, and it broke my cane." Looking at her cane, indeed, the tip was snapped right off. The broken piece was nowhere in sight. It probably got caught in the drainage ditch and the other half got washed away. Walking alone in such a state is way too dangerous. "Where are you planning to go next?" "I was heading to the bus stop next door. I'm meeting my family there. They are coming to pick me up. The bus stop is only about a 3-minute drive from here. I've finished my rounds, and all I have to do is return to the office. I should offer this lady a ride to the bus stop." When I suggested this, she responded, "Are you sure?" and thanked me kindly. Just then, my boss returned from the convenience store. I told him about dropping her off at the bus stop. But to my surprise, he suddenly got irritated. "Are you kidding me? Why do I have to get involved in this?" "But Mr. Brown, the bus stop is on our way back. What's the big deal?" "It's not about that. I'm saying we shouldn't waste our time on something that doesn't benefit the company. Maybe she's just pretending to be blind, taking advantage of people's goodwill." How pathetic. I was at a loss for words at his claim. Indeed, the lady next to me looked deeply hurt and said, "At least let me call a taxi for her." "Do whatever you want. Remember, you're on the clock. Trying to waste time with trivial tasks. People like you shouldn't be in this company." With that, Section Chief snatched the car keys from me in a huff and drove off aggressively. I'm so tired of him always being so emotional. Later, I tried contacting a taxi company. They said there'd be a considerable wait, and they seemed reluctant for such a short ride. Not wanting to upset her with any more back and forth, I composed myself and started with a smile. "Seems like the cabs are all occupied. It'll take about 15 minutes to get to the bus stop. Mind if we walk there together?" "That's very kind of you, but I feel so bad. Earlier, that guy mentioned something about getting you fired from your job." "Don't worry about that. He doesn't have that kind of power. And once we get to the bus stop, I can head straight back to work. If Mr. Brown exaggerates this situation to the higher-ups, there might be a chance I could lose my job. However, even if that is the case, I'd have no regrets. I helped this woman with all my heart, for the greater good." When I asked her if I could hold her hand, she said, "Sure." So, we walked hand in hand slowly towards the bus stop. Her hand was soft and pale, and just touching it made my heart race. By the way, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Sarah Miller. As you can see, I'm blind, but I've always loved the piano, and now I teach classes at home. "The piano, that's wonderful. My name is Medithius. I work as a salesman at a medical equipment company." Medithius. Haha, yeah, it's a bit of an unusual last name, isn't it? "It is. I do hear it sometimes around here." "That's right. My mom's family is from this area, and after she divorced my dad, my last name changed to Medithius." "I see. What's your first name?" "It's Eric. If Medithius is hard to pronounce, just call me however you like." "Thank you." I was completely captivated by the beautiful and kind Sarah. Though we'd just met, there was a strangely familiar feeling about her. Our conversation was so enjoyable that before I knew it, we had reached the bus stop. "Thank you so much. As a token of my gratitude, please use this for a cab. I'd like to pay for your fare." No, please, don't worry about it." "Oh, here, just in case, here's my business card." Sarah tried to hand me a $100 bill, but I refused and gave her my card instead. A cab happened to stop nearby, so I said goodbye to Sarah and headed back to work. Surprisingly, Mr. Brown was out of his seat. According to other employees, he apparently went to another client, leaving me behind. Seems like he might have given up on me. As expected, he seemed pretty furious about the whole situation. Oh boy, what's next? As I was engrossed in my work, I suddenly heard a familiar voice calling me from behind. Eric, could you come here for a moment? The CEO, who's usually at the headquarters, was calling me over with a distressed look on his face. Am I about to be fired? When I entered the room, the CEO began. The head of General Hospital just called, and they've decided to cut all ties with Mr. Brown. What? From General Hospital? General Hospital is our biggest client. Not only is it large in scale, but it also has several affiliate hospitals. This means that they have the final say in which companies they associate with. Normally, we'd both have to rush over and apologize immediately, but unfortunately, he's out visiting another client. So Eric, I need you to come with me right now and apologize. Even though I was thinking, why me? I hurriedly headed to General Hospital. I had been there multiple times for business with Mr. Brown, but what could have possibly made the head decide to cut ties with him? If I had something to do with it, it'd be a disaster. Even the usually calm CEO seemed quite shaken up this time. After greeting the receptionist, I was led to the director's office, where the director was already seated, waiting. Overwhelmed by the director's presence, I was taken aback when I saw the woman sitting next to him. It was Sarah, the very same person I had just walked with to the bus stop. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Please, have a seat. Thank you, but I must apologize. Our employee caused you some inconvenience, and for that, I'm truly sorry. With that, the boss, CEO, deeply bowed to the director, so I bowed as well. Please, both of you, lift your heads. I don't blame either of you. I've just decided not to do business with Mr. Brown anymore. Did Brown do something wrong? Actually, earlier today, my daughter met Mr. Brown and you, Eric, when she was out. Her cane broke, and you kindly escorted her to the bus stop. I truly appreciate it. I'm deeply sorry for the inconvenience back then. Thanks to Eric, I was really saved. Come to think of it, the director's last name was Miller, just like Sarah's. I hadn't imagined they were father and daughter. CEO seemed shocked by the turn of events. I feel like Eric has been really kind to her, and I'm truly grateful for that. Oh, it's no big deal. I just did what was expected. If I could be of any help to Sarah, that's all that matters. Yes, but unfortunately, my daughter mentioned that Mr. Brown made an insensitive comment towards her. Yes, he mocked me pretending to be disabled and said it was pathetic to rely on the kindness of others. Did Brown really say that? I'm truly sorry. Upon hearing about his behavior, the CEO was visibly angered, his face turning red. From the CEO's perspective, who has a strong sense of justice, Mr. Brown's actions were absolutely unacceptable. There's no need for the CEO to apologize. However, I do have one request. Please remove him from our business. We don't want someone with such a mindset towards people with disabilities to be involved with our hospital. Instead, please assign Eric to be our point of contact. I second that request. Eric is very considerate, and he'd be perfect for the sales role. My daughter feels the same way. CEO, please consider our request. I understand. I can't send someone I don't trust to represent our company to the hospital. The CEO looked at me, silently seeking my opinion. I promise to do my best. I'm looking forward to working together, I confidently declared. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect things to turn out this way. After that, things escalated rapidly. First, Mr. Brown got into big trouble over this incident and was suspended by the higher-ups. Given that his actions might have cost us a major deal, his suspension was justified. The CEO and other executives tried to contain the situation by making an unexpected personnel change, sidelining Mr. Brown to a less significant role. But in the end, it seemed too uncomfortable for Mr. Brown to stay at the company, and he decided to resign voluntarily. After leaving, he He tried to find a new job, but it didn't work out well. Eventually, it seems his family grew tired of his antics. His wife and kids left him, and now he lives alone in loneliness. Looking back at his behavior, I personally think he got what he deserved. By the way, I became a sales representative for the General Hospital. While working hard, there was an unexpected turn in my relationship with Sarah. From our first meeting, I was deeply attracted to her. However, a shocking truth came to light. One day, I was invited to Sarah's home. Upon entering, I felt a strong sense of déjà vu. Wait a minute. For some reason, I felt I had been here before. As I was lost in this strange sensation, Sarah, with a smile, said, "Haha, seems like you finally remembered, Rick." Rick. Huh? Oh, a memory from my past suddenly flooded back to me. When I was 7, my parents got divorced, and my mom took me back to her parents' place in Nebraska temporarily. Back then, I often played with a childhood friend, a girl. Her name was nicknamed Sally, and she was such a sweet girl. My mom, fleeing from my dad, came back to her family home with me. I remember feeling the heartbreak as a child back then. But what filled that void was the fun times I spent with Sally. Her kindness, I wonder how much it helped me. I really liked Sally. Once again, I looked at Sarah's face. "Sally, I'm sorry, I just realized it's you. It's okay. No wonder you didn't notice. I used to be able to see a bit back then, but my vision got worse over the years. It was only when I heard the name associated with Rick that I realized you're Rick. But no matter how much time passes or how much we change, our relationship hasn't changed a bit, right? Of course, I still like you, Sally." It was natural that, meeting her again after 19 years, I fell in love with her all over again. "I love you too, Rick. I really do." Tears welled up in Sally's eyes as she spoke. Filled with happiness, I gently embraced her. And so, we began dating and now frequently go out on dates. Today, after a long time, I visited my grandparents' house with Sally. My grandparents were delighted that Sally had come to visit again. We used to play at my grandparents' house a lot when we were kids. Suddenly, I remembered something and asked Sally, "Sally, do you remember burying that time capsule?" "Oh, yeah, I remember that. I'll try to dig it up and find it. But honestly, I didn't expect to find it easily since it was buried 19 years ago." However, at that moment, my grandmother, who was gardening, found something hard near the chrysanthemum. When I dug there, it was undoubtedly the time capsule we buried that day. I can't believe we actually found it. "Look, this is what I was searching for." Saying that, I took out a beaded ring from the capsule. The ring, made in elementary school, was clumsy and too big for Sally's finger when she was 7. Even though it was a clunky ring, I desperately wanted it. I slid the ring onto Sally's finger and repeated the words I said 19 years ago. "I love you more than anything in the world, Sally. Will you marry me?" To my surprise, the ring fit perfectly on Sally's ring finger now. With tears in her eyes, a surprised Sally said, "Of course." That simple beaded ring from our elementary school days looked incredibly beautiful on Sally as she wiped away her tears.